I'm Dave, and I had my first 5-figure profit month with my online arbitrage business within my first couple months of starting. Before I made my first 5 figures in profit, I had to make my first $1,000 in profit. And in this video, I'm going to give you an exact roadmap that you as a beginner can follow to make your first $1,000 in profit with your online arbitrage business in the next 30 days. I'm going to go over each steps, give you each tools, show you sourcing methods, product analysis, and this is the same sourcing strategy that I've done to find over 90% of the items I sell. Without further ado, let's dive in. So how to make your first $1,000 with online arbitrage step by step. So there's going to be 3 different ways to do this, and there's 3 different things that we really need to cover in this video. And the first one is going to be the softwares that we need, the sourcing method that we need to do with the analysis, and then also how we're going to be getting approval to sell these products, right? If we can use the correct softwares, we know the exact way to source, and we can get approval fairly easily, well, then we can get sales. And then after we get sales, that's when we make our profit. Just to break some numbers down to kind of give you guys an idea of what you can expect with that as well. We need to spend about $2,000 at about a 50% ROI, or we can spend about $4,000 at a 25% ROI. So this is going to depend on your sourcing, right? Obviously, in order to hit this goal, it's going to be easier to find those items because the ROI is lower, but you have to find more of them to hit that 4,000. Whereas the flip with the $2,000 in profit, we need to find better items, but we don't need to find as much of them. So this is going to equate to right around 4K in sales. You can take your spend and double it for your revenue typically. And then this one's gonna be 8K in sales. But either way, the margins here, right, on this one are going to be right around like a 25%, which is a very healthy margin, especially as you scale, whereas this one is going to be less. But nonetheless, it's still getting us to that 1,000 in profit. So you need to get that out of the way right now. That's what you have to do to get to this $1,000 in profit. You have to spend money. Whether you're using your own liquid cash or using business credit, whatever you're doing, you need to spend money on inventory. Obviously, that's this whole business. So the first thing we have to go over is the softwares that we're going to be needing, and it's very straightforward with the online arbitrage Amazon. Look, for me, I use a couple softwares nowadays, but all you need to find products and analyze products and go over the whole gist of getting your first 1,000 is 2 softwares. Okay, you don't need anything else. You need Keepa and Selleramp. That's it. I use 2D Workflow. I use SmartScale. I use Sellerboard. Aura. I have other tools I use now, but to make your first 1,000, you absolutely do not need any of these. I didn't have any of these other than these 2. I actually had one that I was trying to use in the beginning that just didn't work out, which I'll touch on in a bit. I'm going to try and save you guys some money and not invest in softwares that you really don't need, because these are the only 2 that you need to make a ton of money, millions of dollars in sales with Amazon. You don't need anything else, right? So we're going to use Keepa for product analysis and sourcing, and then we're going to use Selleramp for a profit calculator as well as sourcing. There's a lot of different methods we can do to source. Both of these work really well. I'm going to show you the one with Selleramp today, though, because this is, I think, the most beginner-friendly one to really teach you the whole market as a whole. So these are some tools that you really don't need, right? What about Helium 10? Well, we're not doing private label, so don't worry about Helium 10. A lot of people are asking about that. Tactical arbitrage, okay, again, I think it's more of a tool you would use as an experienced seller because you can put in really specific searches. But just like the way they market, where it's like, oh, you just type in a website with promos and it spits you out sales and deals, that's never going to work. You're going to find products with no buy box, with price spikes. It's going to be bad items that you don't want to be selling. And as a new seller, you seeing that, you would think it's good when it's not. So that's why, you'd want to be more of an experienced seller to really be using tactical arbitrage. And the other tool here is Nepedo. Again, it's kind of just marketed like the reason I'm not a big fan is because the way it's marketed is for like new sellers, where again, if you're just a brand new seller and you have no idea what you're looking at, you're gonna be making massive mistakes buying everything similar to tactical arbitrage. You need to know what you're looking for before you dive into these tools. And as a complete beginner, this is all you need, right? This is analysis, and this is what we're gonna do to find products. And I'm gonna show you the method I'm talking about. We'll see what we can find in this demonstration as well. So now that we got that out of the way, right? You need Selleramp and Keepa, $20 a month, $20 a month. I think it's like 22 or 21 or something like that. It's in pounds, but nonetheless, it's a very cheap, cost-effective thing, and that's all you need to generate your first $1,000 in sales. So the next thing we need to go over is sourcing and analysis, right? And I wanted to get this through right off the bat, right? Because a lot of people tell me, oh, I want to be selling this, or I want to be selling toys, or back-to-school crayons or books. Like, what should I be selling for back-to-school, Christmas? Look, at the end of the day, it does not matter what you think is going to sell well, right? Everything that we buy is based off of information, because just because one product sells really well on one listing does not mean that same product sells well on the other listing that you want to sell on, right? There's one Crayola pack and there could be 20 different listings for that exact same product in bundles. Doesn't mean all 20 of them are selling really well. So everything that we purchase on has to be driven off of data and data alone, which again is what we use Keepa for, to analyze the data to make sure it's good to buy. Selleramp we're going to use to find them, Keepa we're going to use to analyze it. So this needs to be discussed, right? Only use the information. Don't just buy things because you think they're going to do good. That's not how it works. So as we get into it, let's go over this example here. This would be an example of a item that's very arbitrageable, and the method that I'm going to show you guys is the storefront stocking reverse sourcing method, and how you can use Selleramp to speed up the whole process rather than just going in and manually looking through products and trying to stock stores. And the most important thing is having a decent starting point. Whereas this product gives us a pretty solid starting point because we know that we can purchase it from this website. So there's a good chance that other people are also purchasing from this website, right? For $24.30 on Amazon, it's selling for $47. So yes, these numbers here look pretty good, and this is a really solid product. The lowest FBA is 47. This looks great and all. But what we're going to do with this, right? Yeah, we'll buy this. We're not going to spend all our money on one item. We're going to use this to find new items. And using items like this to find new items should be a lot easier than just going in there and scraping, because we have a good starting point here. You're more likely to find products from other sellers that are also doing online arbitrage than you are to just go and manually look through websites and try and find deals. This is the easiest way for new sellers. And the best thing about this method is we can use it, and we're going to see products, niches, brands all over the board that you've never heard of. They're just going to open the door to new opportunities for you to look into. So what I'm going to do is go through Selleramp, open up some storefronts that are doing FBA, that have a decent amount of reviews, and just start digging through their items and seeing what else I can find that's profitable. So for example, this seller is selling a lot of this brand, Orthomolecular. Now, if I can get this product profitably from this website, then there's probably a good chance that I can also find some of these items also on this website at a profitable price. So what I would do is I would dig through each of these items, and rather than going to this website and trying to find these items on Amazon, which again is more of like a when you're down the line, you know what you're looking for type way to source, that's really beneficial. But right now, I would be going from Amazon to this store because I know that I can get this from there, so I can probably get these from there too. So I would cross-reference this product here. Oh, it's not good. Okay, that's fine. Scratch it off the list. Go to the next one. But you're going to come across ones that do work. And those ones that do work, you're going to go in and place a test order. 10, 20, 30 units, depending on how fast the product is selling. And that's how you're going to spend that $1,000 or $2,000 to get to your projected profit. So for our example that we were using, for this one in particular, that's given us this solid ROI here, right? We wouldn't need to spend as much money. So we can find products all at 50% ROI. We would only need to spend about $2,000 on inventory to get to our $1,000 in profit. But again, not every item is going to give you that 50% ROI. So it might have to be like a mix of these numbers. This is just like a reference base you guys can use to determine that. So that's how we're going to find all our items. We're going to just dig through storefronts. So I'll go through these, cross-reference them. I'd go through another seller, cross-reference them. I would see what my max cost is. I would do a search on Google and see if I could find it. Right, I would go through all these, and as you get experience with doing this method and sourcing and looking through these items, like you'll know where items are coming from. So I've done this for so long, I know exactly where this brand is coming from, right? I know the websites that carry this brand for the price, so I know where to go and look. Same goes for some of these other brands, like this pen, or like these creams. These are things you pick up. So that's why this method is so good, is because you learn the market, you find products way faster, right? These are way better leads than just random items on Walmart, and this is going to easily allow you to spend this money profitably to get to your $1,000 in profit. Okay, so that's the first, that's very crucial right there. And another thing that I want to address with sourcing and everything is kind of I mentioned, right? Like we're not buying based off what we think will sell well, right? Like cool flashy items, back to school, it's Crayola time, right? That's what you would think, and that's what a lot of rookie sellers actually did. But as you can see, it's not, you have to be buying it based off of the data and what the data is telling you. Because if we were to just go in here and buy an item like this, hoping it's going to do well, look what's happened to it in the last 3 months. We've gone from a $15 price, now we're at like a $7.79 price. So there's no way this item is no longer profitable. I think these are like 50 cents. Like this is not a profitable item anymore. And it's because people aren't buying with data. They're just buying it on a whim because they think it's going to do well. Whereas other items like this, that we can be buying seasonally all the time, year round, is not a really flashy, it's not a flashy item that we would even think to sell. I've never heard of this brand in my life. But if we look at its Keepa chart, we can see that it's a very consistent item. It sells very consistently over the last year. Right? There was a time where it was selling for more, but either way, it's been hovering around the same price. Offers right around the same. Sales rank is right around the same. These are the items that you want to be looking for and finding. And again, these are just items that you find while doing the sourcing method, while not only focusing on cool, flashy items that you think are going to do well, because again, it doesn't matter what we think is going to sell. We can only go based on the information. And based on this information that we're getting from this product that we're looking at here, it's clear to me that it's a consistent item. So if we can get this at a good price, this would be an item that would be a very consistent one to keep on our store and would pass a check to go and purchase because of the consistency on it. So that's phase 2, is finding products. And that's how you're going to go and find your first couple products to order, to send into Amazon, to make sales, and actually start making your first little bit of money here. So the roadmap here for sourcing is really simple, right? You just need to do this method for a couple hours a day, as much as you possibly can. You find a promising lead, for example, right? We come off this, and then we found a promising lead, maybe like this. Well, now we have all these sellers to go through, which is going to take you forever. You find an item, then you have all of those sellers to go through. So it's a never-ending loop of more and more sellers, more and more leads coming on, and more items that you can eventually look through to actually grow your catalog. So you find a promising lead from that seller, then you source off those sellers. You do the same thing. You find more leads. You literally just keep repeating this process, and you're always going to have items to sell. You're always going to have items to look through and keep bringing onto your store. It's going to compound really, really, really quick. So if you can put a number on it, if you spend about 2K, it's going to be about 5 to 10 items in a test period, right? That's like that 10 to 20 amount of units. For 4K, if you're spending at a less ROI, it's about 10 to 20 items you're going to need to find. And again, doing this method, it's going to be easy to find these items. I promise you, it's really easy to do if you just spend some time and actually go through these items and just like put the time into learning the market. This shouldn't take you more than a couple weeks. As we progress down, right, after that, we have the approval stage, which in the approval stage, it's just ungating. It's quite simple, honestly. So there's categories and there's brands you have to ungate. A lot of the brands are going to be auto-approved. Categories are usually always going to require an invoice. And the easiest way to get ungated in categories and brands is just going to be Target. If Target doesn't have the brand that you're looking to ungate, Brand Direct website also works. And just so you know, like order confirmations do sometimes work, but it's on a brand per brand basis. Just because it worked for your friend does not mean it's going to work for you. There's a lot of trial and error in the stage. But for the most part, Target invoices will work across the board. So if you're ever feeling stuck and you can't get a brand approved, see if they have it on Target. If they don't, then try and buy something cheap from the brand's direct website and use that to ungate it. That should work like that. But again, it's not guaranteed. You have to really mess with this sometimes. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to get that first initial $1,000 in sales here. As soon as you have that and you make your money, like, okay, this actually works. You have your proof of concept, and then it's time to scale, because it's literally these exact same systems that I mentioned, like this exact sourcing method, that is what has been able to let me find thousands of items to bring onto my store all the time. It's just simply based off this sourcing and that analysis, looking for consistent items like that. It really is that simple. You don't need to use crazy complex tools. You only need those two to go ahead and start finding items and make your first $1,000 in profit. Okay, if you don't believe me, I mean, like, yeah, it's just me talking, and you can go to my TikTok, I'll link it down below, and literally look through all the way to my first video and see when I started, when I was doing like $36,000 within like my 3rd or 4th month. Yes, I was doing that really quick, and it was literally just from this method. As soon as I figured out this method and I just started to actually learn it, that's all I needed to find products to scale. And it's not just me that's doing it, right? I have a ton of students that are killing it. I mean, we got Josh over here, 30K months. We have Brian here, 11K months, 2 months, his 2nd month doing FBA. Collins was one of my earlier students, about 40K a month now, guys, crushing it. Lizzie, $6,000 a day over here. Obviously, we need to restock there. She's been tinkering down. So look, this method works. These are the methods that I show all my students. These are the ones that we always start with. 10K for Cami. Ellie doing, what is that, 6K in a week. And started it a little over a month ago. Like that's how fast people can pick these methods up. 10K a month for Edson, Melissa, 7,000. So like, look, this method clearly works, not just for me, but also for my students. And this is really all it takes to get to your first $1,000 in profit with your Amazon online arbitrage business. It does require lots of capital to get to these sales. You have to have capital for inventory. The operating expenses are cheap, you know, in relative terms, so that's good for this business. But that's really all it takes to get to your first couple sales. You need the correct softwares, Selleramp and Keepa, the correct sourcing method, reverse sourcing, storefront stocking. You have to know how to analyze it with Keepa, look for consistency, and then you're going to need to get approval. The easiest way is Target, and there's no reason you will not get to your profit goals. So you can just take this roadmap. Literally, it's the sourcing that I know is catching up a bunch of you guys, but I encourage you to continue to try reverse sourcing. I have other methods as well, like using Product Finder, throwing in filters in there. But in my opinion, reverse sourcing is just the easiest way to do it. That is the roadmap that I would follow to get to my first $1,000 in profit. I will take that $1,000, reinvest it, repeat, Do it over and over and over again. Get outside funding through business credit cards and scale to whatever number you want. If you have capital, if you're ready to scale or you're ready to start an Amazon business just like this, there's a time slot down below. Book in a call with myself. As long as you are fully committed to this, you have to be fully committed to starting this, because I have students that crush it and those are the ones I want to work with, and I have students that don't because they don't see what's required and they don't actually put the time in that's required to learn this business, because it does take time. It's not a little side thing. It is not easy. It is very, very, very simple, and it's very easy to teach, but it is not easy and it does require a lot of work. But if that's you and you are ready to go book in that slot, we can chat. And I know for a fact I can get you going, because I'll work with you for however long it takes. So if you want more information on that, again, book in that slot. But if not, I have plenty of videos on my page, more sourcing, how to win buy box, exactly how I sold $1 million step by step with the exact systems, all across my YouTube page, also on my Instagram and TikTok. So I'm gonna link those down below. And I'll see you guys next week. Ciao.